Hello, everyone. It's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. So let's talk about Telo. Telo is this truck company that I had never heard of before until Drew from Tailosive EV went over there. I think it was like a week ago. He released this video. It was like 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, he released this video. If you haven't checked it out, it's great. You should check it out. And the title of his video is "Why Are U.S. Pickups So Big?" Meet Telo. And why are U.S. pickups so big? That's a great question. And when I watched his video, I went there to check this out, and it was kind of it's almost the same feeling I had when I first found out about Aptera. I mean, not quite the same, but these guys, like if I was designing a like the Aptera was if I was designing a car, I would have designed something like the Aptera, and if I was designing a truck, I think I would have designed something like Telo. That's if I knew how to design something. But when I saw it, I'm like, this makes sense to me. And what it is it's a very very small vehicle. So look at this. Oh, so these are obviously renders because they they don't have a prototype car yet. The thing they have is they have a driving chassis, and then they have an exterior mock-up so far. So they're very very early in their development of this vehicle. I would say they are where Aptera was three years ago, but like in 2019 when they were just basically designing this thing. They had, the first alpha prototype hasn't even been built yet. But what you see is you see this vehicle. It's smaller than a Prius, and in fact, if you compare it to this, it is basically the same size as a Cooper Mini, in terms of overall length. They're both 152 inches. That's very, very small. So if you compare it to a Ford Transit, which is like a small utility minivan, the Transit's much bigger. A Toyota Tacoma, which is considered a small pickup truck, is gargantuan. It's huge compared to this thing, but it has the same length bed as the Tacoma, and it has all these ingenious ideas. Like take a look at this. So it's got a tunnel cover, and then you can fold down. Okay, so it's got this gear tunnel thing right here. So it's got a gear tunnel that's underneath the floor, and then you can put your an 4x8 sheet of plywood. I mean, that's kind of like um, it's kind of like the standard test of a truck bed. Can it fit a 4x8 piece of plywood? So you can obviously put it in like this with the tailgate down, but you can also fold down the back seat, and it becomes a full 8 foot long bed. And this is kind of like the thing I wanted the Cybertruck to do. I wanted the bed to be accessible from the cabin. And so what this allows you to do is if you just have the tunnel cover over this thing, you could easily sleep in this bed and use it kind of like as a tent. This is assuming that the tunnel cover is waterproof, which I'm assuming they would design it that way. Because why would you make a tunnel cover that isn't waterproof? But then you could sleep in it by laying down in this way. You have a nice, huge, flat surface. The other thing that's very, very interesting to me is, and I'm not really sure how this is going to work out for them. And after watching Drew's video, I don't know that they fully explained it, and I don't know if they fully fleshed out this idea. But it's a very, very interesting idea. And the idea is that you can take the top. So this is this little tunnel storage area underneath here that we saw earlier. So let's go back. Yeah, this right here. So see, there's this area right here. And so you can access it from the bed by lifting out the floor of the bed here. And if you lift out this floor, then now you have space to put your foot there, and you can install like a third row. So this is 2 in the front, 3 in the middle. So that puts 5 in the cab. And then you can theoretically put another 2 to 3. So they're saying 8 people. So enabling Telo to accommodate up to 8 passengers. So they're saying that you can fit 3 people here. Obviously it's going to be a little tight, but um, uh, you could definitely fit 3 smaller sized people in there, and then you could cover it up with this thing, and it kind of looks like a small minivan. So it's a very, like, this would be the smallest 8 passenger vehicle there is. I mean, it's basically you're fitting 8 passengers in something that's the size of a Mini Cooper. I mean, it's taller, but it's pretty much the same size in terms of length, and so it's very easy to park, very maneuverable. And so I think that is an amazing idea. What I don't know about how they plan on implementing this is, number one, when you do this, obviously you can't fold uh, the middle seat down, because then you can't use the middle seat. Then it's not an 8 passenger car. So these people are in a totally separate environment than the people in the main cab. So there's no communication between the two, and there's no airflow. You can't pass things around. So these people are pretty isolated, which is kind of a weird experience for the passengers. And two, how are the people getting in here? There's no door, and there's no access from the cabin into here, unless you want to fold down this seat and crawl in there from here, which seems like you'd have to be a pretty agile person to do that. I guess the thing I'm thinking of is maybe this cover like slides out, and then you step in from the back, and then you get in there. That would also take some amount of agility, but that would be, I think, a little easier than filling to the cover. So they could either have it slide out or hinge up. I think sliding makes the most sense. I think that they haven't really thought this through, is my guess, because in that video they didn't go into much detail about how that's going to work. So this is an idea which I think is awesome, and I love it, because now you would have a vehicle that functions both as a pickup truck and as a minivan. And those are kind of the 2 most useful utility case vehicles there is. But I think it's not fleshed out, but I love the idea. And I think designing this is very difficult, because this is going to be, I'm guessing, fairly heavy, and it would have to be removable. And you would have to seal this very well along here, so that you don't have any like water intrusion into this back part, or and have it removable, and you can, to put it back on, what's the word I'm looking for? Removable and attachable by like 2 people. You don't want it to require lots of people to do. So if they can get this to work, I think it's an amazing use case scenario as a utility vehicle. And it's like, I've kind of always wanted both a van, because there are times when I want to take a lot of people, and 2, there's times that you want a truck, and this is obviously not like a truck that you're going to want to use, like haul your horse trailer around with. It's just not that kind of vehicle. But most people that are buying trucks are buying it kind of as a fun vehicle. And so it's like, these are the things that they show. So, obviously you can make your Home Depot or Lowe's runs with it. I mean, you're not going to carry like, a ton of cinder blocks or anything with it, but you can get some lumber, some bags of concrete, some pavers for working on landscaping, whatever. And then you can go surfing with it. You can take your bikes, and that's probably the thing I'd be using it the most for. But yeah, you could easily take 4 or 5 bikes in this thing. And if you get like one of these huge e-bikes that are heavy, it's much easier to load it into the bed of a truck than into the back of a SUV or a van or something like that. So that's what most people that buy trucks in America are using their trucks for. They're not really using it to pull massive trailers around. Now, people are definitely doing that, and this is probably not the case for that. And also, these numbers are probably just aspirational numbers. I'd be surprised if they hit these numbers, but these are impressive stats. 350-mile range is very good. 4-second 0 to 60 time. I mean, why do you need a truck that accelerates that fast? That's great, I guess. 500 horsepower seems like overkill. They are saying that you can pull some stuff with it, so you can do some towing with it. And I think they said it had 1,800-pound payload capacity, which would be impressive. And the couple of things that I noticed after watching the video is things I wish that they would have done different. I mean, I think I like everything about it. The use of space is amazing. Obviously, they push the passenger cabin way forward, and they were saying in the video that, so this is a lot like there's a type of truck called K trucks that are very common in Europe and Asia. They look a lot like this. They're very, very small trucks, and they're basically have the driver pushed way forward, and then the wheel is actually kind of behind further. And so they said that makes the driving and steering mechanics really weird and feels off. So they push the front wheel way, way forward. And as you can see, the front wheel is like basically it protrudes in front of the front. So there is no bumper per se, though your bumper is the tire, which is kind of cool because tires are pretty good as bumpers if you want to, like, slowly bump into something. It's made out of rubber and stuff. So you wouldn't take damage. But I think it kills the aerodynamics. When I went down to talk to Aptera about the wheel pants, the wheel covers on the Aptera, they said that a rotating tire is like the most dramatic hit to aerodynamics. So taking the wheel cover off the Aptera, you're going to take a huge hit on the aerodynamics. And so you're basically, this is like an Aptera with an exposed wheel cover. So you're going to take huge hit on the aerodynamics. I think if they would have just put a cover, just built like some like little plastic cover just to cover the front of it, even if they leave the side exposed, that probably is going to help them out a lot. But maybe stylistically they thought it looked bad, or I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it was, but maybe they decided the aerodynamic cost was worth it for whatever reason. They do have this little pill cut out, and it takes the air from this rear wheel and just shunts it out. It helps the aerodynamics a bit. But that's the one thing that I would have covered. Now, when I saw this, what it kind of reminded me of was the Canoe vehicle. And so you guys remember the Canoe vehicle, and I've kind of peripherally been following them for a while. And if you look at their company's performance, they have not been doing well. I mean, they've lost 99% of value since their peak. So they peaked out here like at $20 a share. Now they're down at like 20 cents a share. So they've lost almost 99% of their value, but they're still alive. They haven't gone bankrupt. They're still in business. They have 2 factories, actually 3. They have one in like Bentonville, one in Pryor, Oklahoma, another one in Oklahoma City. Now, none of them seem to be functioning that well, but I think the main one that they're functioning with is in Oklahoma City, and they have delivered some vehicles. So they have indeed delivered some vehicles to Oklahoma. They have fleet orders from NASA, and they have fleet orders from Walmart, and a couple other fleet orders. So that's what they're doing. They're not selling it to commercial people. I mean, to retail customers yet. And I think their costs. So see, they're saying that at a combined cost of $120, so they're charging about $40,000 per vehicle, which is a decent price actually, considering what vehicles are going for these days. Now, the problem, if you look at Canoe, if you look at this, so this is their pickup truck. If you've kind of been following them for a while, and I know some of you guys have been following them, their issue is, so they have the front, it looks a lot like the Telo. It's right up to the front. However, they have the driver pushed way back. And so even though this cab is big, much of this forward space is, in my opinion, kind of wasted space. You can't really put anything there. They do have a little frunk there or something, but this huge cab only seats 2 people. That's it. There's no second row behind here. And the bed is not, you can extend it by doing this and make it bigger, but it doesn't fold down. I do like this though, where the side of the bed folds down to be like a little table. and then the little slide out compartment, you could step on it to access that. And I think that's something like Telo could do, you know, make these things fold down. I don't know if that would ruin the structural integrity, put that lid on there, and if it does, that's probably not worth the thing. But having that little tunnel be a step, that would be kind of useful. Like right here, like this tunnel, if it slides out to a step, but maybe that's too hard to, that's more engineering than it's worth, because then if you have some kind of thing that steps out, well, I guess it looks like if they reinforce this little hatch to be stronger, you could step on that, and that would, it's much easier to access things in the bed if you're up higher. If you're like a shorter person, lifting stuff over the side and getting in and out of the bed is going to be difficult. So the Canoe feature of having that slide out really helps with that. And this is kind of cool, this having this side thing, but I don't know that it's like a really, really useful feature. But if they could incorporate it, that'd be kind of cool. Anyways, I think it's a lot. It reminded me a lot of the Canoe, but the way Telo is doing it, I think is a much more efficient use of space. They are, you know, this is a similar size cabin, or maybe even a little bit smaller, but it holds 5 people. Now, the kind of downside to that is there is not much of a front crumple zone, but they were explaining in the video that impact to here will drive the force downward and the cab will be lifted up. So it's not a crumble zone, but it's more like a deflection zone. And I think these are trade-offs that are worth it for efficiency. For me personally, like if like safety was my number one concern, which seems to be the case for a lot of people, they're just like, well, I just want to be safe, and that's the most important thing. So I'm gonna buy some like 8,000-pound vehicle that is a tank, and so I'll just kill everyone else on the road, but I'll be safe. I think we just, again, I've said this multiple times, I think we need to move to right size transportation and get like the smallest vehicle that does the job that you need it to do. And some people need huge trucks. They need that for the work that they're doing. But most people that I see driving around in their huge full-size trucks, they don't need it. They just have it because it makes them feel safer, or just because that's what's available, or whatever reason they have. But it's like this would do the work that most people need trucks to do for the vast majority of people. Okay, so I love it. I hope they succeed. You know, they say that they're hoping to deliver a vehicle by 2026. I think that's wildly optimistic. You know, the regulations for 4-wheeled vehicles way higher than for an auto cycle like Aptera. So Aptera is they've had a lot of challenges, that they've missed deadlines, and they're in a space that is not highly regulated. This is a space that's highly regulated, and they're trying to deliver a vehicle. It took Lucid and Rivian billions of dollars to make it to production, and I think Telo is going to need billions of dollars to make it to production. Canoe also raised over $1 billion, and they have just now reached production, and that's been a very hard road for them. And who knows if they can do it, if they're going to succeed as a company. So I hope Telo succeeds. I'm really pulling for them. I hope they succeed, but I think they have a rough road ahead of them. But they seem like really smart guys and really motivated. Turns out this Forest North, their chief technology officer, is the guy who founded and sold PlugShare, and also he founded Mission Motors. So PlugShare, I think that's a great app. I use it all the time. Mission Motors, they had a really cool looking electric motorcycle. So I think they're run by a good group of people, and I hope they succeed. And I hope we have vehicles like the Telo and Aptera making smaller and more efficient vehicles so that the roads are safer for everyone. All right, so that's my rant. Thanks for watching, guys. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.